Hello. There really is no need to be staring out from your windows at a miserable garden during the winter. Until I moved house recently, I used to open my garden to the general public in February. And in this talk, I want to give you very quickly a taster of how you can create a wonderful winter garden. There's been something of a quiet revolution going on with our autumns, which seem to get longer and longer and stretch almost till Christmas, with the availability of new plants and spurred on by commercial gardens that have realized that people will still pay to go around the gardens if there's something to enjoy in the winter, spurred on by all these things. People are taking a new look at the world of the garden in winter. So very quickly, just to give you some idea of what can be done. Snowdrops, the iconic plant of the winter garden. I could give you a whole talk on those, but as well as snowdrops, let's think about that bulb layer in the garden. Have drifts of bulbs. Think, for example, of those little cyclamen, the hardy cyclamen that you can plant out and that come back and spread each year with the lovely little pink or magenta flowers peeping even above the snow. And by the way, I'll come back to the tree trunk and its role later in this little talk. Winter aconites come up with the snowdrops. Now you do need a limey soil for this. They don't like acid conditions, but they will spread and create great carpets of color. Just plant them in the green, just after they are flowering. Because if you try to plant them as those dried up bulbs that you can see for sale in garden centers, it's very unlikely that they will start into growth again. And then there are the crocuses, masses of crocuses to brighten February days. Like all the bulbs, make sure you plant them in natural groups. Really hate seeing crocuses lined up like soldiers. And they're the little winter irises. You can even plant these, as with all the other bulbs, in pots if you haven't got a garden. And these, even one of these in a pot, will provide cheer on a January day. Not all of them come up each year. This one, Catherine Hodgkin, is one of the most reliable, but they're so cheap you can replace them year on year if you need to. And while we're talking about the irises, there are the perennial winter irises. And I particularly like the form Iris lassica because its leaves are nice and bright and it's very easy to grow. It doesn't need the conditions that some other winter irises need, the hot, dry conditions. It would just take a garden situation and spread very readily and then send out these little flowers during the winter months. Along with the bulbs, we can plant perennials. The most well-known and loved are the hellebores. They come in such a range of colors and forms these days. They're part of that quiet revolution I was talking about. Then there are all the flowering shrubs. I could go on for a couple of hours talking about all the things you can plant in your garden. Flowering shrubs for pollinators, to give you color, and to give you scent, because so many of the winter flowering shrubs try to attract the few insects that are around by pouring out the scent. Plants like Sarcococca. If you've got a shady spot in your garden and are looking for a small shrub, this is a wonderful little evergreen that will thrive in such conditions. The flowers aren't much to look at, but you're wandering through the garden on a winter day and you pick up a scent on the air and you trace it back to the sarcococca, that special vanilla sort of scent that it's emitting. The daphnes are also renowned for their scent. And this is another of the new plants that we've had available in recent decades. I've heard some gardeners say this is the best plant of all for it, that, even considering all the other seasons, the best plant that has been introduced for our gardens in recent years. It makes a tall shrub up to 12 feet high. It will get quite broad eventually, and it will send out these flowers with wonderful scent during January, February, and March. Just needs a well-drained situation. And there are the witch hazels, not true hazels, but slow-growing shrubs. Eventually they get quite large in shades of red. Not sure the red ones stand out very well in the garden, actually, but you get shades of red or orange, or perhaps rather brighter, the yellow ones, all having these spidery flowers, and some of them have scent. The mahonia is a familiar evergreen. Some mahonias flower before Christmas, some will be flowering afterwards. And let's not forget the catkins and pussy willows. This is a new one with these pink catkins. Best to cut right down to the ground almost, just a few inches of a trunk left each year, and then it sends out long wands of new growth with these pussy willows at sort of eye level. It's not only the flowers which make a contribution to the winter garden. Look out for trees with interesting bark. The well-known birches, of course. Some people will scrub these with a pail of water and a scrubbing brush in autumn, just to make sure they really shine out in the winter garden. On a smaller scale, there are the cornices in shades of red and yellow, and this one in burning orange, planted here effectively with one of the hellebore species. And berries, of course, also make their contribution, whether it be cotoneaster like this, hollies, skimmias, they can all be enjoyed. And finally, whatever you would like to add by way of sculpture or decoration can also increase the interest and enjoyment of your garden during the winter months. So I've just given you a taster. I could go on for 2 hours or more talking about all the things you could do to create a wonderful winter garden. So do explore what's available and enjoy those winter months. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.